In this video, Kevin and I are going to be making 5 different onion dips. Mainly going to be Kevin making these onion dips. These are the ingredients that you will need for all of them. But I'm going to have timestamps in the description for each recipe. So if you're interested, if you've come to this video looking for a specific recipe, you'll be able to go to the description, click on the timestamp, and just see that recipe. Then, if you're interested in hearing which one we think is the best onion dip recipe, stay tuned for the end of the video because we're going to be giving you our opinion. So we're going to be using the recipe on the back of the Lipton Recipe Secrets onion. This is a very easy recipe, and so that is the first one we're going to be making. Then we're also going to be making a recipe from the Pioneer Woman, and then we have one from Garten, and then we have the Southern Living recipe. And lastly, we're going to be doing the William Sonoma recipe. So first we're going to get ready for the Lipton Recipe Secrets video, and then we'll be right back.
So the first recipe we're going to do is the Lipton Recipe Secrets Onion Recipe Soup and Dip Mix. Well, that's a mouthful. This one is just the box you buy at the store. You need a box of this, you need 1 pouch of the mix, and then you need 16 ounces of sour cream, or basically 1 16-ounce container. I'm using the big container for all these, so I measured out 2 cups. So I'm just going to open this and get a pouch out. Here's what it looks like.
So I will say here, someone gave me their recipe, the way they do the Lipton dip, the onion dip, and what they do is they use, I believe they said, mayonnaise. Yes, they use half the amount of sour cream, and they use mayonnaise. So they use mayonnaise, sour cream, and the pouch of the Lipton, but we wanted to make it just like it says on the box. So I'm sure if you use mayonnaise, it's good as well.
Well, it says on the bottom, you can do, for a creamier dip, you can put a half a cup of mayonnaise.
That's what they use, is a half a cup.
So they're still following the box directions. They're just doing it.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So same difference. So I'm just going to, I got my 2 cups in there.
And I love this stuff. We have used this. We were first introduced to this from a friend of mine, and she made roasted potatoes, which they have the recipe on the back of the box, onion roasted potatoes. These are wonderful, and it's so easy to make. You just need potatoes, and you need 1 envelope, and you need some oil. Because the oil makes it stick to the potatoes, and then you bake them, and they're absolutely fantastic.
I'm thinking this is the same stuff you put on a pork roast too, isn't it?
Yes, I love this.
Pork roast,
Kevin.
Awesome.
Yes, this is Kevin's favorite thing. You just put a pork roast in the crock pot, and you put a envelope of this soup in there. You don't put any liquid at all, and you just let it cook because the roast will make its own juices, and it is wonderful that way too.
Okay, so I've got, this is all mixed up. This is all you do, literally.
That's it.
So you can eat it just right now if you want to, but I think the flavors develop a little bit if you let it sit for a while. So I've got a Pyrex bowl. I'm going to put it in the bowl. I've got a little label on here so I know which one it is. And we're going to put it in the refrigerator overnight. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the Pioneer Woman recipe. You need 1 cup of sour cream. I've got it just measured out in this measuring cup. You need 1 teaspoon of onion powder. It's this one. You need 1 tablespoon of dried chopped onions. That's what this looks like. That's what they look like. They're bigger pieces, so don't get the minced ones. The minced ones are much smaller. This is the dried chopped. You need a pinch of garlic powder. It's right there in the corner, right there for the onion powder. The kosher salt, you need a 1/4 teaspoon of just salt, and then 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, or you can use 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley. It would depend on what you want to use. And basically you're just going to put it all in a bowl and mix it together. And you do want to, I've got a bowl with, I've labeled it Pioneer on the top so I know which one's which, but you want it to at least set for an hour to let the flavors develop. We are going to let it set for overnight to let those flavors really develop in there and to soften up the onions. And then we'll try it the next day.
You know, if you don't need that bowl again, we have a lid for that bowl, and you could just leave it right there.
Oh, that's true. I could just put it right
yeah,
in this.
because it's such a small amount.
Yeah, it is.
And
I think this is the smallest one of the bunch.
Yeah, and you could use that bowl
yeah, you're
for
right.
something else.
I forget we have lids.
Lids for this. Yeah.
Okay, so this recipe is from Garten.
We've never watched her.
I've never watched her, so I think that's how I would say it. Anyway, so for this one you need 2 yellow onions. They're decent size. This is the same size as all the rest of them were. 4 tablespoons of butter, so it's just a half stick of butter. A fourth cup of vegetable oil. A 1/4 teaspoon of ground cayenne pepper. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, just salt, or kosher salt. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 4 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature. This is just a half a block of cream cheese. You need a 1/2 cup of sour cream, and then a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, which we've got right here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to chop your onions up. You don't want to chop them up in like really small, finely chopped. You want to leave them in smaller pieces, like longer pieces like this. I'll show you what I'm doing in just a second, and then once I get my onions chopped up, then we'll move on with the rest of it. Okay, so what you want to do is once you peel them, you want to cut them in half. I leave a little bit of the root at the bottom. Wipe off some of the browns. Don't want that in there. So I just cut them in half, like that. And then we'll cut this one in half. And they want you to, or her recipe calls for leaving it basically, remember the root side, you don't want the roots, but basically leaving them as this size onion. Like these, the rings should be about this size. So, and they should be about 1/8 of an inch thick. So they're going to be fairly thin. You see how thin these are? Be fairly thin, but your rings are going to be pretty decent size. So I'm just going to chop up or cut the rest of these. So the next thing you want to do after you dry the tears from chopping all those onions, you want to take your oil and your butter in a pan. Make sure it'll hold all your onions, so don't use a small one. Use a decent sized one. So you're going to put your oil and your butter in there. We're going to melt it over medium heat, and then we're going to basically add all of our onions and our salt, cayenne pepper, and regular pepper into the pan, and we're going to saute them. So I'll be back when it's all melted and ready to go. So now I'm going to take my onions and I'm going to just take my hands and break them up a little bit just to separate them. They don't have to be perfect, but just a little bit. And I waited till my butter melts completely. That way I know my oil's somewhat warm and hot. That's not going to be like stone cold when I stick these in here. But I'm going to put these in here, and then we're going to let them cook on medium heat for about 10 minutes. I'm going to add my seasonings too. And then I'm going to let them cook for about 10 minutes. And then once they've set for 10 or cooked for 10 minutes, I'm going to reduce my heat to medium low, and then let them kind of saute for another 20 minutes until they get really brown and caramelized. So that's the steps. So it's been 10 minutes and you can see they cooked really, really nice. They've gotten a really nice golden color. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reduce my heat to medium low, and I'm gonna let them saute for, I'm gonna let them cook for another 20 minutes, stirring occasionally, and they'll really get brown and caramelized and really good and tender after that 20 minutes. So I'm gonna turn my heat down and you can watch them cook. So the onions, it's been 20 minutes. So the onions are fully browned. They look beautiful. So what you want to do now is let them cool. So I'm going to remove them from the heat, put them up to the side on the stove and let them cool down to pretty close to room temperature. Maybe they don't have to be that cool, but pretty close to room temperature because you don't want to melt your other ingredients. So I'll be back when it's cooled off. Okay, so the onions are mostly cooled off. What I did was I moved them over to a bowl and I actually stuck them in the refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes. They're still not 100% cool, but they're cool enough to where they're not gonna bother anything. So now what I wanna do is I wanna take my cream cheese that's should be still at room temperature. So I'm gonna put my cream cheese in there. Get in there, in your mixer. And you need your mayonnaise and your sour cream. You're gonna put that all in your mixer and mix it together where it's good and creamy. It's mixed up pretty good. There's still a few little lumps in there, but I'm not worried about it. It didn't say anything about draining it, so I'm literally just dumping oil and butter and everything in there. So here it is. I'm going to put it into we've got a Pyrex bowl with a lid and I labeled it so I'll know who it is. So I'm going to put this in this bowl and we're going to let it set overnight. Okay, so this one is the Southern Living recipe. This one is, you need 2 tablespoons of butter. You need basically 2 medium onions. It ends up being about 3.5 cups, but you're going to chop those. 1.5 teaspoon of salt. 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, just whatever kind of pepper you have. 2 tablespoons of sherry vinegar, which smells a lot like malt vinegar. So sherry vinegar there. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And then this is a couple different things. It's 1.5 teaspoon of onion powder, 3/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, all in one thing. You need 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. And then you need 16 ounces of sour cream, or just one 16-ounce package is fine. And then you can have some chives if you want to garnish it, but those are completely optional. So I'm going to actually put my mayonnaise and my sour cream in the refrigerator, so they'll be in the fridge, staying cool while I'm doing my onions. Okay, so I've got my onions peeled. Now I'm going to chop them. I always chop mine by starting at the root and just cutting down. This is how, I'm sure there's 100 different ways you can do this, but this is how I was shown to do it. So my onions are all chopped, and one of the differences between this recipe and the last one was these are diced, like they're actually chopped up in smaller pieces, whereas the other ones were in bigger, longer pieces. So while I was chopping this up, I put a pan on the stove with the butter and turn it on medium heat, just let that melt. And I'm just gonna add my onions and my salt and pepper. See if I can keep from dropping these in the floor. Let these cook a total of like 40 minutes on medium. They should be kind of brown and translucent like the other ones were. Okay, the onion's been cooking about 12 or 13 minutes. They've gotten a really a nice golden color on them. So you want to reduce your heat to low, medium low, and watch them really carefully, because unlike the last recipe, this does not have a ton of oil in it. It's just the butter. So they will burn a little quicker than that. So you want to really turn your temperature down to low and let them go that last 20 minutes or so until they get really good and brown. Okay, so this is after 40 minutes of cooking. They look really, really nice. So now what you want to do is just take your sherry vinegar and your Worcestershire sauce. And basically we're going to get all the little brown bits off the bottom, but also lets it cook in a little bit. So we're going to let this cook for 1 minute. Probably burn off a little bit of that out of the vinegar in there. But anyway, we're going to be back in just a second for you. Okay, so it's been a minute. I'm going to add all my onion, garlic, and the cayenne pepper. I'm going to stir that in now. And then I'm going to put these in a bowl. I just have a glass Pyrex bowl. I'm going to put those in there. Ooh, I can smell that smoky pepper. I'm going to put this in a bowl and let it set until it cools. They said about 15 minutes. I'm actually going to stick it in the fridge for probably about 10 minutes in the fridge, or 15 minutes. We'll see when it gets cooled off, and I'll be back once it's cool. Okay, my onions are cool. They're still not cold, but they're cooled off. So I've got my sour cream and my mayonnaise. I've got a bowl here. I've labeled it Southern Living, so I'll know which recipe this is. And I've got a bowl to mix it into. If you wanted to, you could have put your onions into this bowl in the first place, and you just stirred in the sour cream and mayonnaise, but I didn't do that. So. So once you get your mayonnaise and your sour cream stirred together, you just want to add your onions. Okay, for the Williams-Sonoma recipe, what we're going to need is 2 tablespoons of butter. We need 1 large onion, finely diced. We need 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 garlic clove minced, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 1/4 cups of sour cream, 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, just black ground pepper. And then you need, of course, something to serve with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up the onion. I'll show you me starting that, but then I'm going to chop that up first. I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my onion peeled just like the other ones. I'm just going to chop it. These are chopped up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my pan on to medium heat and put my butter in there until it melts. I'll be right back. Okay, so my butter is good and melted, and I'm just going to add my onions. And for this one, you want to add your salt as well. And then it says to let them cook on medium temperature for about 20 minutes until they're all good and caramelized and brown. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so the onions are done. They've been in there for about 20 minutes. So what you want to do now is just add your garlic and cook that for about another minute. Okay, it's been about a minute with the garlic. I'm going to turn my heat off, and I'm going to pour my Worcestershire sauce in here. And this just helps to loosen up any like little brown burnt bits on the bottom, or I won't say burnt bits, brown bits on the bottom. So now I'm going to take this and just put it into a bowl and let it cool off to basically room temperature, just like all the rest of these in this video. We're going to probably stick it in the fridge for about 10 or 15 minutes, and that tends to work pretty good. So I'll be back. Okay, the onions are all cooled off, and remember those spices I measured out? We're now going to use those. So what you want to do is take your sour cream and your mayo and put it into a bowl. Just something where you can mix it. And then I'm going to dump these spices right in here with that mayo and sour cream. Okay, now I'm going to dump my onions in there. And then just stir those in. so now you're supposed to put this you're supposed to just cover it with a plastic wrap and store it. But I'm storing it in these Pyrex bowls. And this one has Sonoma written on there, so we know which one it is. So I'm gonna dump this in there and then put it in the refrigerator, and we'll let it sit for the rest of the night.
We have our 5 dips, and these have been in the refrigerator just like this overnight. So the reason we did that is because we're hoping the flavors develop, but we're also hoping that they got thicker. We do think we'll have to stir each one before we take them over to the table and give them a try, and that's why we're starting out here.
And every recipe pretty much said let it sit for at least 3 or 4 hours, so overnight's even better.
Okay, so that does not look like it needs to be stirred at all.
No, it looks pretty good. I mean, there's a little liquid around the edge, but...
Okay, well, I'll stir it whether it needs it or not. I'll give it a stir, because that'll probably make people happy anyway. Okay, that is the Lipton. This is the Pioneer Woman. Yeah, I see. It does have just a little bit of water around the edge. That's a great texture. Look at that.
Looks thick.
Looks like store-bought. That's nice. This is the Barefoot Contessa.
This is the one that had the really big chunks of onions in it.
Wow, I'll tell you right now, it is super, super thick. Like, it's thicker than all the other ones. I think because it has all that onion, super thick. Okay, this is Southern Living, and that is a full bowl. Yes. That if you buy the regular size Pyrex bowls, this is a full Pyrex bowl for sure. Well, that recipe made the most.
You know what's funny is too, that used 2 cups of sour cream, and then another one used 2 cups, and it didn't fill it up like that.
This is Williams Sonoma. So, just looking at these like they are here, it looks like the Pioneer Woman made the least, but her recipe didn't have as much in it. You didn't use as much for hers. And then the second least looks like the Williams Sonoma didn't make a lot either.
That and the Lipton. I think that's about equal.
Yeah. And so the recipe, if you want the recipe that makes the most, that's going to be the Southern Living. Now that's not going on flavor at all, but the Southern Living wins as far as these recipes for the amount you get. So we're going to try these in the order that Kevin made them. And I do want to say, if we had an extra person here, then we could probably do them blind and all that. But with just the 2 of us, it's just easier to just try them the way they are. And we'll still be able to tell you, which one we like the best. So the Lipton onion recipe was the easiest for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, literally sour cream.
The quickest, the easiest, any way you slice it, this is the easiest one because it was just the sour cream and the Lipton onion. So
stir it up, you're done.
We're trying this with Lay's wavy potato chips because that's what we like. Okay, so.
And we're just digging right in.
Yep, I'm gonna dip right in.
I've never minded this dip, but you do get a lot more of the sour cream flavor than you get onion.
And then that one person had suggested to half a cup of mayonnaise.
I think the mayonnaise is supposed to make it like a little thicker and creamier. It's still pretty creamy, just like it is, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What's funny is when you first stir it up, it's kind of thin with just the sour cream. But then you put it in the fridge overnight, and I guess whatever was in that mix helps thicken it up a little bit, and it's plenty thick enough to dip a chip in.
I think this is delicious.
It's very good.
You really get the flavor of the onion, and it's not too overpowering or anything like that.
No, it's not like all onion or anything like that.
It does have a creaminess to it, and it goes really well with a salty Lay's potato chip.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a salt to it. So.
I'm very impressed with the flavor. Of course, I knew this was going to have a lot of flavor. I didn't know if the sour cream would bury it,
Yeah.
But I know that as far as these packets of seasoning, they're really good because we've done potatoes with them. And
pork
chops. Pork roast, I've done pork chops. I've taken pork chops and I've crusted the pork chops with this. Incredible, and baked them. So this is a really good mix, even without making the dip.
Yep.
So yeah, that to me is a winner.
Yep. I'm just gonna put it out of the way.
Okay, so the next one you made was
probably the next easiest one.
Okay.
Because you didn't have to cook anything. You didn't have to cook anything for this one. You had those diced onions.
Yes.
This is the dried chopped onions.
The dried chopped onions.
And I said it when I was making it, don't get the minced ones because the minced ones are really teeny tiny, and it even says they're not the same thing when you look it up. Because we had minced onions, I was just going to use those, and they said don't use those, they're not the same.
So this is really simple too. Sour cream, chopped onion, dried chopped onion powder, garlic powder, salt. That's so an easy
It's
recipe.
almost like you're making your own Lipton packet.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see if it tastes the same.
That's what it seems like. It's like it's got dry ingredients. It's almost like you're making your own packet.
I didn't get enough on my chip.
There's definitely a stronger flavor in there. I wonder if it's the onion powder giving it that really strong flavor. I hate to say it, it almost tastes like old onion.
Oh, I don't think so.
It's good, but it's almost, it's not quite there, but it's almost there.
See, I'm getting a flavor in there, and I think it's probably that the chopped onion. But it almost, this is going to sound so bizarre, it almost has a nuttiness to it. To where...
I would say earthy, like that old onion flavor is earthy.
Well, to where it's so much of a nutty flavor to me that you know how you can buy the really teeny tiny like pecans? I can see adding those teeny tiny pecans into that and it being awesome on a Ritz cracker. Oh, I could. Oh, I think it's... I like it a lot. I do not think it is as strong as far as onion as the Lipton onion.
Oh, I think the onion in this is twice as strong.
Oh, see, I'm not. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's delicious, but I think it's completely different.
It's too much for me.
Completely different.
It's too, I don't know, the onion in there is like a funky onion. I just don't, and it could have been the brand of dried onions we used too.
It's just Kroger brand.
Yeah, so it could have, maybe some fancier brand would have been different. But I don't know, it's just, I would not make that again.
I would make it again, and I like it, but it's for a completely different reason than you.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a traditional onion dip, though, I would go for the Lipton. I was going to. Oh,
no,
you don't want to do it like that. You do it. That's exactly what I was going to do, but you.
I was just saying, leave the lid where it was.
Oh, I wasn't understanding what you were saying. Okay, this is the Barefoot Contessa, and
this one was probably the most like time consuming as far as the cooking went. But it cooked easy because they weren't going to burn because they were drenched in oil.
And these are the ones that you cut kind of long.
Yes, these are the longer ones. So I don't know how this is going to dip.
But this has cayenne pepper, cream cheese, and sour cream, and mayonnaise. So it has like the trifecta.
Yeah.
And so this is probably a lot higher in calorie. Even though those aren't low calorie, this is probably higher in calorie because it does have all that stuff. But the cayenne pepper should add a lot. It also has vegetable oil. So, I mean, all that adds up.
That's what I was saying. When I was cooking these onions, the ones that were just in butter, you had to really watch them because they would burn. This one had so much oil that you didn't have to worry about that. Quite that big of a chip.
This is the one that I said, are you sure you don't have to drain that?
I know. Look at the onions.
But you didn't have to drain that. This is some thick dip. You wouldn't have thought with all that, with all that oil, it would have gotten thick like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the big hunks of onion. It cooked well, and it has a good flavor, but I wish they were a little smaller pieces.
I could make a meal of just that.
Oh, it's good. It's got a little kick to it, too.
I could eat that without any chips.
Oh, just with a spoon?
Just with a spoon.
Do you get a little kick with them? Just a little bit. Not a lot.
Just a hint, and it's in the very, very back of my throat. That is incredible. If you like those onion straws, those what are they called?
Fried onions.
Fried onions that you put on green bean casserole. It tastes just like those, except it's a different texture.
Yeah.
Just
soft.
A soft texture instead of a crunchy texture, but it tastes like it has those in there.
Truthfully, when we made the onions, we both tasted some of just the
Yes,
onions. And we were both like, you could put this on a hamburger or a steak or something like that. It would be awesome. Just the onions.
Yeah, just the onions before he put any of the cream cheese, sour cream, any of that in there.
The onions are good.
Just the onions, yeah. But you would have, if you want to put them on a steak or something,
you'd have to drain some.
You need to drain it off because it is a lot of oil, but they're incredible. Yeah.
And you can take a fork probably and pick them up.
Okay, so this does not compare to anything that we've had so far.
No, this is like the flavors are more developed in there because you did cook those onions and the seasonings and stuff. It's just more of a richer, more luxurious onion flavor.
This feels taste gourmet.
Yeah, this tastes professional, whereas those taste like you made them from a packet.
Yes, truly. This is
good. Like I said, my only complaint is the onions are a little long for dipping a chip in it. But I mean, it's not bad. It's just they're a little bit long.
Wonder if you could put. I mean, I know you can dip carrots and stuff like that in there.
You could probably put that on something and bake it.
You probably could. It's so delicious. Yeah. It's just wonderful stuff. Okay, now we have Southern Living, my favorite magazine. Southern Living French onion dip. This one
had the sherry vinegar, yeah.
Sherry vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, which I love, onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika. You're going to taste that. You should. Mayonnaise, sour cream,
pretty much
butter.
the same.
Yeah, okay, so.
But the sherry and the Worcestershire was the difference.
Was different, yeah.
Because I don't think the Barefoot Condessa had Worcestershire on it, did it?
No.
I didn't think so.
Oh.
The onions are also smaller on this one.
Mm-hmm. You diced them.
Yeah, these are diced. But they're cooked, it's just they're diced. That's such a different flavor. Mm-hmm. The Worcestershire and sherry really make a difference. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I like it as much though. I like it, it's just different.
That's the thing. It is good. It truly is delicious. If you make this recipe and you like Worcestershire sauce, which I love, you will be crazy about this.
And it's got this very, very slight vinegar flavor.
Yeah, you actually get that because you only use 2 tablespoons.
Yeah, it's not much. But
you can taste it. I think if you make this recipe, you will absolutely love this. Mm-hmm. Just like all of them, except you didn't like the one. But when you compare it to other ones, then the Ina Garten, hers is better.
It depends on what you're looking for. I think if you want something more oniony, for sure, Barefoot Condessa. If you want something more like seasoned dip that's not just pure onion, then that's really good.
It is delicious, and it does make a lot.
Yeah. Well, now the next one, the last one, and it is very good. All these have been very, very thick too. The last one does have the Worcestershire sauce, but it left out the vinegar. So I'm interested to know kind of the difference.
So is it basically the same thing? This one had garlic.
This one has garlic in it, just a little bit.
This one had garlic. The others didn't have garlic. Worcestershire sauce, sour cream, mayonnaise, cayenne pepper. So it's a lot of the same. But you're right. It has the garlic and it did not have the sherry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which that vinegar, I'd never had sherry vinegar before. It smelled just like a malt vinegar. It was wild. Which I love a malt vinegar. Keep breaking the chips. I have to double up on them. That one has more of a sharpness to it. No.
It's delicious. Oop.
The onion flavor is more like, I don't know how to describe it, more intense, more sharp. Now, if you went back from, it has a little kick to it too. I guess from the, what did it have, cayenne pepper in it? Mm-hmm. It's got just a little hint of a kick in the back of your throat. You try that again?
I love the Williams-Sonoma.
It's very good.
I really do. And the reason I wanted to choose the Williams-Sonoma recipe was because, spoiler alert, if you didn't watch the video where we made like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different green bean casseroles. The Williams-Sonoma won. Mm-hmm. They were the best green bean casserole that we made. So when we did these, I thought I need to look up a recipe for Williams-Sonoma. That is I think a 5-star recipe.
It's
you
good.
You can tell the difference between that one and the Southern Living, because the Southern Living, you really do get that vinegar in with it. I do think that garlic Kevin used made a difference in the Williams-Sonoma. And so for me personally, the Williams-Sonoma would be like, if I gave it a 5, I would give the Southern Living a 4.5. It's very, very close. But for me, the Williams-Sonoma wins out over the Southern Living just a little bit.
And now that you've had those, go back to the Lipton.
Oh, no. Okay, now we're back to the Lipton. It doesn't even look the same.
It doesn't have near the flavor or anything.
You'll feel like you're eating on a budget when you go.
I know.
That. Yeah, you'll feel like you're. Well, and I get it. I totally get it. And even the Pioneer Woman, I get it. It's quick, it's easy. But I tell you, once you've had these other ones, you won't want it any other way. The only choices for me are going to be Southern Living, Williams-Sonoma, and Barefoot Contessa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think now our favorites are probably going to be greatly different.
Okay, hold on. Can we get them in front of us again? Okay, so this is Barefoot Contessa.
Williams-Sonoma.
Southern Living. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I want to try them all again.
That's fine. I think I know which one my favorite is.
Well, I want to try this one again.
Yeah, I had to go back to that one.
You see, I get a whole serving on each potato chip.
Oh yeah, why not? We're not driving. I tell you what, I like the Southern Living one, but that sherry vinegar almost to the point of it almost ruins it for me. Because it is so strong. Now you're trying to display me. I definitely have my favorite.
One more. You gotta do the Southern Living again.
I tell you what, that one's saltier too.
Okay. You definitely taste the vinegar in that stronger. Okay, I have my favorite.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your order?
I'm gonna choose Williams-Sonoma as number 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
They won for me again.
Okay.
So I complain that they're as expensive as can be, but you can go to their website. You don't have to buy any of their stuff.
Yeah, it's just a recipe.
You can go to their website and look up all kinds of recipes. If you're looking for something special, I would go to the Williams-Sonoma website and see if you can find a recipe for it. Don't ever have to buy any of their stuff because it is high. Like if the Queen had lived here, that's where she would have shopped. Like Fortnum and Mason. Anyway, Williams-Sonoma is number 1. Garten is number 2. Southern Living is number 3. I'm going to say Pioneer Woman is number 4 because I like that flavor. And my last one is the Lipton.
The only two we're flipping is the last two.
Okay.
Because the Pioneer Woman, I would not make that again because it had a really like harsh onion. It wasn't a good onion. It was a funky onion.
Yeah, and see, I liked it. I thought it was really good.
I tell you what, for me, the Southern Limit, the Williams Sonoma and the Barefoot Contessa are very, 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 very close.
I agree. I would take
either one of those are up there.
It's splitting hairs.
It really is, because the Williams Sonoma one has that little bit of kick with the Worcestershire sauce, whereas the Barefoot Contessa doesn't.
Well, and as far as ease of eating,
it's easier to eat because the onions are
easier to eat the Williams Sonoma, whereas she has you making them in longer strips.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, just like Kevin said, if you want to make a steak or pork chop or whatever with just those onions, just the way she has you preparing the onion, and stop there, and you don't have to do any of the dip part. It's absolutely terrific.
Yeah, you could do dips aside. If you wanted to do that for like a steak or something, you go to these steak restaurants that have the onions and peppers and mushrooms toppings. You could do that in that recipe just while the onions are cooking towards the end. Throw some peppers and mushrooms in there, and it would be awesome, because I mean, you get all that flavor. It would be really, really good.
I love it that the Williams Sonoma won again, and I'm just really, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised, because they really do know their stuff.
For the Barefoot Contessa one, the only thing I would change, like I said, is the size of the onions. I would not leave them in half range. Literally, you're leaving them half range.
It'd be easier to eat.
I would cut them in half at least, so that you're quartering your onion instead of leaving them halves. I would quarter them, at least you're getting smaller bits when you're dipping. It just makes it a little easier to eat. But actually, honestly, I don't know. It's so close between these two. It's just like literally my mind can't separate them.
If I was having a party or a get together, a lot of times like on Christmas Eve, we'll have the family over.
Yeah, we have pig food.
I think it is absolutely worth it to make your own this way than to get the Lipton.
Yeah, oh yeah, the Lipton's just not.
I'm just not, and I get why people would do it. If you're in a rush, if you have to have it immediately, I get it.
Or just don't want to fool with making it.
Yeah, but trust me, it's absolutely worth it. It's worth the trouble.
Now compare these to what you remember of the store-bought brands. I don't think there's any comparison to those either.
I don't either. These are so much. Yeah, this is better. This is so much better.
Because the store brands are all very similar to what the Lipton and the Pioneer Woman.
I think the store brand uses a lot more salt too. I think even the one that I really liked, which was the Kroger brand, I do think they use a lot more salt than these do.
Because these didn't have a lot of salt.
No, they
do have salt, but
they
not
do.
A lot of salt.
Just 1 teaspoon, the Williams Sonoma. But I think the flavors are richer and better in these. Yeah. So I wonder how long you, let's see, the Williams Sonoma, it says that you can keep it for up to 1 week. You could keep it for up to a week in the refrigerator covered. So that's probably going to be about the same for all of these.
I think so, because they're all based on the same stuff. Sour cream and maybe mayonnaise, potentially.
So that's probably going to be the same.
But if I were to make a recipe for like a party, I would do the Williams Sonoma because it involves less like cream cheese and all that stuff. I would do this one because it doesn't have all that in there.
Yeah, Williams Sonoma wins. Yeah. So if you've tried any recipes from Williams Sonoma, let us know in the comments below, because that's 2 times they have won for us. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.